Hey guys, Lizzie here. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so sorry that I've been away. I know I said I was going to try and upload a video like last Tuesday, or a couple Tuesdays ago actually, but no, I actually went on vacation with my family to Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and it was actually really cool. I liked it. I'm not really big into the whole like mountain scene, but it was actually really beautiful, and I would not mind going back like at all. And then when I got back, I've been sick for about a week. I don't know if you can still hear it in my voice, but I've got some like sinus trouble and it's kind of gross. I've been out of commission for a little while. It is about 10:30 at night and I'm finally getting the motivation to do this video, which is part 2 to my Disney conspiracies. Can we just talk about the thing that I got when I was in Gatlinburg, like on the way home? I saw this thing and I thought it was the greatest thing ever. So this is new to my setup here and I'm actually really excited about it. So as we know, again, like I mentioned in my last video, there are a lot of conspiracies and just weird facts about Disney. And this week we're going to be talking about the Disney theme park conspiracies and just weird facts. Some of these are kind of well known, but some of these I didn't even know about, and I studied Disney like it's my job. And so I just wanted to share some of that with you guys today, and I hope you enjoy it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right in. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is the Haunted Mansion ghost. So a guest that went on this ride at Walt Disney World actually took a camera with them on the ride. The visitor swears that there was no lights from the camera. As a matter of fact, it was an infrared camera. So there was no lights or flash from this camera. In this picture, you can see a little boy poking out his head from the buggy that's just up ahead from this guest. Now, this guest says that there was no little boy around this age when he was getting onto the ride in front of him in line, and swears up and down that he has no idea where the hell this kid came from. And when he started developing the pictures after he got home, it genuinely scared the hell out of him. Now, supposedly, years before this photo was taken, a woman actually asked for permission to be able to dump her 7-year-old son's ashes on the Haunted Mansion ride because she said that it was her son's favorite ride. Disney did not want her to do this, but against their wishes and against their rules, she did it anyway. And apparently that's like a big thing at Disney World and Disneyland. They have people that constantly want to dump their loved ones' ashes at the parks. And some people think that that's part of the reason why some of these rides and the park itself is so haunted. Since she dumped her son's ashes on the Haunted Mansion ride, people have started to say that this is the spirit of that little boy, and I've also seen him crying when they go to exit the ride, and some people have actually reported seeing a little boy running around the ballroom scene of the ride. They'll go and tell a cast member that they saw a little boy running around the scene, and of course when somebody goes to check it out, there's nothing there. And since we're talking about creepy things on the rides at Disneyland, this next one was probably the creepiest fact that I found. So apparently, a few of the skeletons on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride are real. Why? So according to sources at the park in California, apparently the fake skeletons that they actually had on the ride initially weren't authentic enough. Disney ended up buying skeletons from UCLA and using them as props on this ride. It is also confirmed that the skull and crossbones that you see on the headboard on one of the scenes on the ride is 100% real and has been there since like the 1950s. What? There's also a rumor that when Walt Disney found out that he had cancer, he wanted to preserve his body with cryogenics. So there's also a rumor that Walt Disney's frozen body is actually hidden somewhere in that ride as well. But there's also speculation of other places in the park that his body could be. However, nobody has actually confirmed it. So you're walking along the nice little main street of Disneyland in California, and you walk past the firehouse, and you happen to look up and see Walt Disney himself staring out of the window right back at you. It's a little creepy, but at the same time I find it's kind of soothing as well. So it's actually said that Walt Disney's ghost actually haunts the apartment above the fire station in the California Disney World. If you look up on the second floor, you'll see that there's always a lamp on, and this is to pay tribute to Walt Disney. He actually used to stay in that apartment. But it wasn't always like this. Walt Disney passed away in 1966. Shortly after his death, a cast member went in to clean the apartment. Once she was done, she turned the lamp off and then leaves. Once she gets outside, she turns around and looks back up, and the lamp is back on. Thinking that she had just forgotten to turn it off, she goes back upstairs, and the second she goes to reach for the lamp, she hears a voice saying, "I'm still here." The cast member swears that it was the voice of Walt Disney. Some guests even today say that they will occasionally look up at that window and see that the curtain is pulled slightly back, and as they're watching it, it just gently drifts back into place, almost as if somebody was looking out of it. Maybe it's Walt Disney making sure everything at the park is just a-okay. Now, before I start this next one, I do want to lead with, this is no disrespect to the family of the girl that this happened to. I just like talking about this stuff, and I do think that it is something that needs to be talked about. So again, no disrespect. So in 1974, a girl by the name of Debbie Stone was actually killed at Disneyland when she was testing the Carousel of Progress ride. Now, if you don't know what this ride is, it's basically where you're sitting stationary and the stage in front of you is actually turning, and each turn is a different scene. So basically it just shows the progression of American life and how different technologies have affected us over the years. So as she was testing this, the ride started to turn. Unfortunately, she got pinned between two of the scenes and got crushed to death. She was then taken completely away from Disneyland to a hospital where she was pronounced dead. Now, legally, in order to be pronounced dead, it has to be by a medical examiner or by a doctor. And since that's the case, technically, nobody's ever died at Disneyland. They've actually had other stories about this kid that was on the monorail and was trying to like sneak into the park, and he didn't see the train coming on the monorail, and security was trying to like, get off the tracks, and he was thinking that they were just trying to get rid of him. He didn't see the train coming, and he actually got hit. Unfortunately, he passed away as well. He was also taken to a nearby hospital where he was then pronounced dead. So the legend goes that since nobody has actually technically been pronounced dead at Disneyland, then nobody's actually died there. Now, this next thing is actually kind of creepy to me, but also extremely interesting and very smart. So underneath all the parks, and that includes the ones like overseas and like Paris and Tokyo, there is a complete, complex, enormous tunnel system under each of the parks. And this allows cast members to move around without being out of character, and it also allows for the removal of garbage without the guests seeing it. The creepy thing about it to me is, can you just imagine walking through the park and knowing that there's like this enormous tunnel system just below your feet, and there's like Mickeys and Minnies and Donalds and Goofies just roaming around below your feet? Like, that's a little creepy to me. Some people actually refer to these tunnels as the Disney catacombs, which, if you haven't seen or heard that story, I fully urge you to go look it up. It is one of my favorite stories. It's super creepy, and nobody has actually clarified whether it's true or if it's just a creepypasta, but it's one of my favorite stories. Now, these tunnel systems are completely prohibited to the guests of the park, and it's to help to preserve the magic of the park. Now, if you're like me, you're thinking, this sounds awesome. I kind of want to be a part of all of these ghost stories and want to witness this stuff for myself, and maybe I should get a job there. Before you start filling out an application, allow me to tell you about some of the really strange rules that they have. So employees or cast members are not allowed to refer to themselves as workers or employees. They have to refer to themselves as cast members. And they have to stay completely in character. And nothing outside of the Disney realm exists. So you can't like ask them what they think about like politics, or you can't ask them what they think about, anything that's outside of the Disney realm, because they're going to look at you like you're crazy because they don't know. Also, if you ask for directions of how to get to somewhere in the park, keep an eye on their hands. Notice they will never point with their index finger. They will always gesture with their hand, or they will point with 2 fingers. Because apparently in some cultures, it's seen as rude to point with your index finger. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, oh, I don't have a problem with that at all. I would love to be a Disney princess. You absolutely can be. As long as you're between the heights of 5'4" and 5'8". Yeah, you have to be between a certain height in order to be considered for the position of a Disney princess. Now, if you are a little bit smaller than that, then you can always look to work in the Alice in Wonderland part of the park, because those characters are typically kind of smaller anyway. Now, let's say you do get the part of being a Disney princess, such as Belle or Jasmine. You then have to go through autograph training. Yeah, autograph training, to the point where they teach you, like, this is how this princess is supposed to write, or this is how this prince is supposed to write. And you have to write, of course, the character's name. You're not going to have some kid come up to you and you're dressed like Belle and you're going to sign Lizzie. Like, it's not how it works. You have to actually sign the princess's name. Now, let's say you've gotten the job, you've gone through the training. Now it's time for you to actually start working. You're walking along and you see some trash on the ground. You can't just bend over and pick it up like a normal human being would. You actually have to do it like elegantly, like a princess would, and like sashay over to a trash can. They literally teach you how to pick up trash off of the ground as a character. I don't know if this makes me love Disney more or make me utterly terrified of it and just assume that anybody that works for Disney is part of a cult. And here's one last little rule that you have to know. So let's say that there's another cast member that has the same name as you. Well, guess what? One of you has to change your name or go by a different one. And it's just to eliminate confusion. So say like they're asking for Lizzie and there's another Lizzie there and both of you come running. It's just to eliminate that kind of confusion. So yeah, you gotta change your name if you have the same name as another cast member. There's also a few other rules that, you can't have tattoos, you can't have gauges, and you can't have your fingernails a certain length. So some of them are a little weird, some of them not so much. But I still love everything Disney. Even the creepy stories and the conspiracy theories, it just makes me love it more. I will never stop loving Disney. I have since I was a small child, and I probably will until my dying day. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a thumbs up and subscribe, and make sure you hit the little notification bell, because since I'm so sporadic about making videos, and I really try not to be, at least you'll know when I finally do post one. Be sure to leave me some comments about some of your favorite Disney conspiracy theories, or even if there's just some stories that you want to tell me. I'll tell you what, I'll actually put my email in the description. So if there's any stories that you want to tell me, or if you want me to share them on my channel, I absolutely will. That is actually something that I would love to do, is share other experiences. And more than likely, I will tell a few of the paranormal stories of my own that I've experienced in a house that I used to live in when I was still living with my mom. It's a little creepy, especially with the fact that I have a little EVP to go along with it. So if you're not sure what that is, it's electronic voice phenomenon. So yes, you can hear voices, and it's super creepy, and I will never get over it. But I'm rambling, so you guys have a good night. I will talk to you later. Remember to love each other. Bye.